In this video, we'll show you how you can easily replace the screen of your Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro. Replacing the screen of the Redmi Note 10 Pro is the most complex repair, as all components have to be removed. However, they are all easily accessible. Allow about 120 minutes for the repair. You will need the following tools. In addition, these tools can be helpful. You can find all tools for your repair and an original Xiaomi replacement screen in our online store at iDoc.eu. We've put the links in the info box. Switch off your Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro before the repair to avoid potential short circuits. To do so, press and hold the power button until a menu appears on the screen. Tap on Power Off. Your smartphone will now shut down within a few seconds. Remove the SIM tray by pressing into the small opening next to it with a pointed tool. Pull the SIM tray completely out of the case frame and put it aside. The Redmi Note 10 Pro is opened via the back cover. It is made of glass and heavily glued. Please note that your phone won't be waterproof anymore after opening it. In order to open it, you first have to heat the glue of the back cover. To do so, run a hot air device, such as a hairdryer, evenly over the back cover's edge for a few minutes. Once the adhesive has warmed up sufficiently, you can apply a suction cup and pull it upwards to create a narrow gap between the back cover and the screen unit. Insert a flat, stable tool to widen the gap. We can recommend the iFlex for this, since it can be inserted particularly well due to its sharp edges. However, since you can also quickly scratch something with the sharp edges, you should switch to a plastic tool such as the iPlastics as soon as possible. Run the tool along the edges of the back cover, detaching it from the rest of the case piece by piece. Put flat plastic pegs in the loosened areas at regular intervals to prevent the glue from rebonding. Reheat the edge of the back cover in between when you notice that the glue is getting solid again. Once the back cover is completely loosened, you can take it off. In the next step, unscrew the 17 Phillips screws of the middle frame. To avoid losing the screws, you should use a screw storage, such as a magnetic pad. The middle frame is additionally hooked to the screen unit and therefore has to be unhooked. Make sure to place your tool in the right place to prevent damaging anything. Take a flat plastic pick and push it between the screen unit and the middle frame with a bit of pressure, preferably on one of the long sides first. Then run the tool once around the frame. You should hear and feel it detach from the screen unit. As soon as the middle frame is detached, you can flip it over, but you cannot completely remove it yet, because it is still connected to the screen via the fingerprint sensor cable. Therefore, be careful not to overstretch this cable. To avoid short circuits during the repair, you should always disconnect the battery as soon as possible. Carefully lever it off the motherboard with a spudger. Small parts on the board can be easily damaged, so always lever it from a free side only. Disconnect the fingerprint sensor in the same way. Once both connectors are separated, you can completely remove the middle frame. Now you can remove the battery. The battery of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro is attached to the screen unit with an adhesive film. The film can be pulled out from underneath the battery via 3 adhesive tabs. Start by peeling all tabs from the upper side of the battery. Then pull the outer orange tab upwards. This way the battery can be removed without the use of heat. Heat the remaining adhesive film to be able to peel it off the case bottom without damaging it. You can use a flat tool like a steel spatula to help you. If you don't install a new battery as well, you have to transfer the adhesive film to the new display in order to fix the battery properly again. Next, the front camera has to be removed. To do this, carefully disconnect it from the motherboard, then take the module out of its guide. To be able to remove the motherboard, a few preliminary steps are necessary. Start by removing the thin heat protection film. It runs over the connector of the connecting cable and the earpiece. You can simply nibble it off with your fingers or run a flat tool underneath it. As soon as the connector is exposed, you can lever it off the motherboard. Then also detach the small metal connector of the antenna cable. ESD tweezers are best suited for this. Now carefully lever the motherboard out of its guide with a spatula and take it out of the device. On the side of the motherboard, the slightly glued earpiece remains. Remove the earpiece from its guide by running a pair of tweezers underneath it. Doing so, be careful not to damage the connector. Next, remove the speaker module. First, disconnect the connecting cable. Pull the glued cable end off while pressing the speaker down. Then you can simply take the speaker module out. Before you can remove the USB board, you have to carefully pry off the connector of the screen cable. After that, pull the antenna cable out of its guide and then take the USB board out of the device. To remove the slightly glued vibration motor, it is best to run a pair of tweezers underneath it and carefully lever it out of its guide. The last thing to remove is the connecting cable. It is glued to the bottom of the screen unit. To be able to remove it more easily and safely, you should warm it up first. Then use a flat and sturdy tool to drive under the cable piece by piece. We can recommend a steel spatula for this. Unfortunately, the cable labels are in Chinese, so you should remember the cable's orientation for later assembly. You can find an original replacement screen for your Redmi Note 10 Pro and the appropriate tools for this repair in our online store at iDoc.eu. Once you've removed all seals and protective films from your replacement screen, you can start reinstalling the connecting cable. Align it and then press it lightly to allow the glue to bond again. Put the vibration motor back in its guide and press it lightly as well. Now put the USB board back in place. Make sure that you don't pinch the connectors of the connecting and screen cable. It is best to bend them a little bit when inserting the board. Use tweezers to push the antenna cable back into its guide on the edge of the case. Then reconnect the screen cable to the motherboard by carefully pressing it down. You should hear and feel it click into place. Be especially careful when attaching connectors, and never press them down with force. A damaged connector can lead to the failure of an entire component. Now insert the speaker so that it lies under the connector cable. Reconnect the connecting cable to the USB board and press the lower end of the cable back onto the speaker. You may have to adjust the connecting cable a bit in the process. Put the earpiece back into its guide. Make sure that both the earpiece and its connector are sitting level. Now you can put the motherboard back in place. It is best to place the board at a slight angle while bending the connectors slightly to the side, so that they don't get jammed. Once the board is evenly seated in its guide, you can reconnect the connecting cable. Then also reconnect the antenna cable. Reattach the copper film over earpiece and connector. Now place the front camera in its guide and connect it to the motherboard. Before you can reinstall the battery, you have to put the adhesive film back onto the bottom of the screen unit. If you're replacing your battery too, you don't have to do that, as an adhesive film is already attached to the back of the replacement battery. Align the adhesive film with the black adhesive surfaces facing down. The white line on the film also helps you with the alignment. Press the film firmly so that the adhesive bonds properly. Then insert the battery and reattach the adhesive tabs to the top. Now take the middle frame and lean it against the screen unit to be able to reconnect the fingerprint sensor. Be careful not to overstretch the fragile flex cable. After that, you can also connect the battery. You should always connect it last to avoid a potential short circuit. If everything is in order, you can reattach the middle frame. Before you close your smartphone again, we recommend testing the replacement screen at this point. Turn on your Xiaomi for this purpose. Press and hold an app and drag it across the screen to check whether the touch responds everywhere. You should also check the function of the battery and the fingerprint sensor after the repair. With the help of our checklist, you can test other basic functions to make sure that your repair was successful. We'll link it to you in the info box. If something does not work properly, check again if all components are connected and screwed correctly. Check in advance whether the camera modules and the antenna cable are correctly seated in their guides. Otherwise, the middle frame may protrude in places. Position the middle frame on the screen unit and press it firmly all around. You should hear and feel it click into place. If it sits evenly everywhere, you can fix it with the 17 Phillips screws. At the end of the repair, you still have to reattach the back cover. If the adhesive frame is still in good condition, you can simply reuse it. Otherwise, you should attach a new one. Larger lumps should always be removed so that the back cover lies flat again. In our video, Reseal Your Smartphone Correctly, we show you how to remove the adhesive frame and attach a new one, using the iPhone 12 as an example. Align the back cover of the screen unit and press it firmly along the frame. To make the adhesive bond properly again, you should briefly heat the edge with hot air and weigh it down for a few minutes. The last step is to insert the SIM tray. Make sure that you insert it the right way around. You did it! The screen is now replaced. I hope your Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro is now shining again. If this video helped you, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. See you next time! You can find high-quality tools, spare parts and accessories for your smartphone repair in our store. iDoc. Everything for your smartphone. Find more helpful videos here.